everyone, it's Desiree, and I am back with card 3. Well, technically, it's card 5. It's all about the die cutting, and I am focusing on what I call it a die builder set, because you can build your scenes with the dies, and it's called I Love Fall. Lots of die cutting. Fell in love with these little tiny pumpkins here. Yes, the vintage photo is starting to come out, and I am going to ink everything that I've die cut except my banner and my sentiment. I'm going around the edges of all the pieces, those tiny little leaves, the pumpkins, and there was 3 different sizes of pumpkins. So I die cut it 3 times each, and each had a certain color. So I went from dark, medium to light, from a light yellowy orange to a deep red. I also did the sunflowers. I did 5 of those. And then I'm using the sentiment pumpkins for sale because I just thought that was cute. Absolutely adorable. And then that's going to sit on a dark green banner. I also pulled in one of Jamie's other pattern paper pads. And for the life of me, Fall Dots, it is. I get her monthly subscription of the paper pad. Love it. And I thought these colors just matched perfectly with the colors that I chose that I die cut. So I pulled those out. I pulled 3 of those and just cut them down to size. And I know you guys are going to ask me what sizes. And yeah, I just don't know. But let's see. And I found the card. So I'll give you the measurements while I am inking here, because this will take forever and a day. So the green mat, I'm going to start from the back and work my way up, is 5 1/4 by 4, and then the next mat is 5 by 3 3/4. Each mat is one measurement, and then I went down 1/4 of an inch. So keep that in mind. So the first one is that 4 1/4 by 5. The next one is, 5 1/4 by 4. The next one was 3 3/4 by 5. Then I went down 1/2 an inch. So that's what you want to do when it comes to your mat. You get this nice round border around it. And again, you could make them strips. I wanted to go with rectangles. Again, it's just something that I just don't take notice of. I have fun with the process to just say, okay, I want this. All right, back to these. So I put the sunflowers together. I've got everything inked. I pulled in one of my green alcohol markers, and I'm just going to the tops of the pumpkins. Now, you could certainly grab a green cardstock and just die cut the tops, and then fussy cut these on. Fussy cut them off the pumpkin, and you could actually layer them onto this pumpkin as well. I didn't want to do that. Now I'm going to take these itty bitty leaves, and we're going to glue them to the back of the sunflower, whether they're across from each other on an angle or they're grouped together, just giving that different look to each of the sunflowers. I love die cutting. I love building scenes with die cuts, and this die set has just so many possibilities. It's got little tiny birds. It's got like a scarecrow. So it's just really adorable. But I fell in love with these pumpkins and these little sunflowers. Very country. And yeah, some of you that know me are like, really, Des, you like country? I just think this is adorable. Usually I'm vintage and grunge. But we don't make We don't grunge up our pumpkins. It just, there's just some things I won't do sometimes, but not this time. So we're just continuing to add a little bit of glue on the tips of these leaves, and then finishing up our sunflowers, and then we'll be able to start building our card up. So this card is showing more traditional, or what we think are more traditional colors for fall. But again, you saw my previous video, beautiful pastel blues and pinks and beiges, colors that you just don't think. That the delicate pumpkins is perfect to pull into the holiday time, Christmas time. Add snow frosting to them and glitters and everything. Again, we can change a image that we're used to seeing during a certain time, and just by changing the colors, we can make it anytime. That's what I love about paper. Paper is awesome. It's a wonderful medium. Here I'm just taking these leaves and I'm putting them on the tops of the pumpkin, and I only went with one because these are each going to be layered up in groups of 3. So I'm having 3 groups of 3 pumpkins. I'm going to get my sentiment down onto my banner. I cut the sentiment out of gold mirror cardstock, and I'm adhering this onto a strip of scrap dark green cardstock. And I'm taking the 4 and setting that on an angle. And then we're going to have the word sale come down off of that. I'm going to turn this into a flag type banner. I'm first going to trim it down. I don't want it that long. And I'm just marking each side so that I know somewhat where to cut. And then I'm going to come in on each side in the center and then angle in from each corner to that point to create that banner. You can do just one side. I chose to do 2. I knew this was going to be sitting somewhere in the middle of the card. Here we go, our mats. So we're going to start the first one, and I chose the yellow small polka dots and putting that onto a light brown piece of cardstock. I grabbed the brown large dots, and I'm putting that onto the dark red that I used for the pumpkin. And I'm introducing this teal. It's a different shade of a green. It is more green, and I am setting that down onto the dark green, the same as the color that I used for the banner. I introduced a couple colors, and really it's just, as a matter of fact, it's just the one color, and that's the green teal. And that's okay. I like to stick with the colors that I'm working with and try not to add too many. I'm just adding this piece of cardstock just towards the end. I'm inking around the card base, which is another standard A2 side, so that I don't get it all over the place, because it's what I do. And what that does is it takes away the white. Yes, there are white dots, but I wanted them to have the white. And by inking around the sides, it just tones it down a little bit, and it actually tones down the dots as well. So laying all of these down just right on top of each other, and you can see 1/4 inch between the pattern paper and the solid, and then 1/2 inch between each of the sets that I go down. I'm going to set up my groups of pumpkins, and again, one of each pumpkin is getting set with each other. And then once we have those together, it's time to build our card. I do like to work in odd numbers. I know some people come across, well, you didn't have this. Some people like to work in even numbers, and that's okay. I am one that does gravitate to the rule of thirds, or the odd number syndrome. For me, it's just more pleasing to the eye. So just playing around with the placement. I want these, even though we're creating the scene, I'm looking for it to also have a grounding from the mats. And by setting the two on the outside, along that second mat that came in, setting the one in the center, and I'm using double-sided foam squares again to get more dimension from the piece. I'm going to set that down just a little bit. So those other groupings look like they're pushed back just a touch. And that's going to look like it's setting down on that first mat. So it's a weight to ground. I'm also going to prop up the banner using the double-sided foam squares. And I'm going to set that on an angle along the top. Just to balance out all of these colors. And then we're just going to place the sunflowers throughout. Majority of them are going to be attached to the pumpkins coming from underneath. Whenever I glue down my die cuts like this, or I'm collaging like this, I never cover the entire piece. I want to be able to tuck things as I change my mind to where things go. So instead of pulling up that piece and possibly destroying it, I have the ability to just lift up that corner and just tuck that under. Our last one's going to have a piece of double-sided foam square, and didn't like where that was, so I didn't press down too hard yet, and we're going to put that towards the end. And that is our final card, I know, boo, featuring the Not Too Shabby quarterly release called Fall is Coming. It's a beautiful release. I hope you check it out. I will have the link down to their shop down below, and a link to the products that I used. Remember, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit your notification, because then you will know when the next video is live. But most of all, enjoy the process. Have fun creating your art. I hope I inspired you with the 3 videos and the 5 cards that I created for you featuring this beautiful collection. But as always, remember what's most important. Always, guys, be creative, and I will talk to you in the next one. Till then, take care.